Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into something pretty interesting, an organization called Unholy 101. And specifically, their very bold campaign, Christ was about love, remember. Our sources are some excerpts from their campaign stuff and their app description. So our mission here is to really unpack their core messages, their philosophy, what they're aiming for with this brand, and especially what they mean by unholy in their context. It's going to be a fascinating look at how beliefs, values, and even branding kind of intersect.
Yeah, and it's a really contemporary example, isn't it? How groups are responding to what they see as societal shifts and how they're reinterpreting these, foundational concepts. The materials immediately show a really strong stance on inclusion and civil liberties. It's right there from the start.
Okay, so let's get into that core message. Christ was about love, remember? Unholy 101, they state pretty clearly this isn't just, a catchy phrase. It's their direct answer to what they see as Christianity being distorted, turned into something exclusionary, even hateful in their view. And their stated goal, it's right there in the source material, is reclaiming what they actually call the radical spirit of Christ's love. A love that, as they see it, stood with the marginalized, the rejected, the vulnerable. That's quite a reframing.
It really is. And building on that, this idea of reclaiming love, Unholy 101 doesn't just leave it as a spiritual thing. They spell out why this campaign matters so much for society, for the U.S. They ground it in three key reasons. First, they say, and this is a direct quote, not ideology, it's the foundation of who we are. So when they're defending the dignity of, women, immigrants, LGBTQ plus people, minorities, the vulnerable, they claim they're not being ideological. They see it as honoring the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, specifically that pursuit of happiness, liberty, justice for all. So they're basically saying their unholy stance is actually more aligned with those founding ideals.
Wow. Okay. That is a powerful claim, using those foundational American texts to back up their message. What's the second reason they give?
The second point is they argue this represents the true Christian legacy. They say that some people who claim the U.S. is a Christian nation seem to forget Christ's actual teachings, which Unholy 101 describes as being about love, definitely not about hate or hierarchy.
Right.
So they're calling on everyone, believers and non-believers alike, to remember that core message. It directly challenges that Christian nation narrative.
Okay, challenging the narrative. And the third reason, why else does this campaign matter to them?
Thirdly, they connect it to what made America a beacon to the world. They bring up the Statue of Liberty, that powerful symbol of refuge, freedom, hope.
Yeah.
And they state pretty emphatically that this light, this idea of America as a welcoming place, it mustn't be dimmed. It's a callback to that historical promise.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, I think, maybe the most provocative part of this whole thing. The name itself, Unholy 101. I mean, unholy has such negative, almost forbidden connotations for a lot of people. But they seem to embrace it. What's the thinking there? What are they reclaiming with that word?
That's exactly it. The choice of unholy is very deliberate, very pointed. It's designed to challenge the idea that you need to be holy, and crucially holy by someone else's religious definition, to deserve rights or respect or dignity. Their argument rests on, the foundation of liberal democracy, the separation of church and state, which ensures no single religious view gets to dominate everyone else.
Okay.
So unholy becomes this proud reminder, as they put it, that freedom doesn't demand holiness, it just demands humanity. They're completely flipping the script, saying unholy isn't bad, it's actually necessary for real freedom in a diverse society.
That's quite a turn. And what about the 101 part? What does that signify?
The 101, that's also key. It signals, the basic course, the starting point. But it's framed as an invitation where we learn together what freedom really means.
Right, like an intro class.
Exactly. But it's not passive. It implies this collaborative, ongoing learning process about liberty's fundamentals. It's the introductory class that immediately asks you to think differently.
So if we put all these pieces together, then the name, the message, how does Unholy 101 actually define itself? What's their overall identity?
They're very direct about it. They flat out say they're civil rights for everyone, full stop. They describe themselves as unapologetically secular and radically inclusive. They add this interesting bit. They say they're more than happy to hear about Christ, about Krishna, about Muhammad, or about the Bible.
Okay.
As long as we all agree that we live under secular legal rules and that living together in peace requires shared values of tolerance, respect, and diversity. And they tack on a pretty important condition. If you do talk to them about Christ, it has to be the Christ of love, because that's the real one.
Wow. So a very specific framework for coexistence.
Very specific. Almost prescriptive, you could say.
And it's clear they don't just see themselves as like a clothing brand or something. They explicitly say, we're a movement. How do they actually get this message out there? How do they spread the word?
Well, they use a few different methods. You can subscribe and join their movement, follow their writings and campaigns on their Substack, unholy101.substack.com. But a really big part of their strategy, and this connects to the brand aspect, is getting people to wear, gift, and share their products.
Merch.
Exactly. They specifically mention the Christ Was About Love collection and other bold designs. You can find them on Etsy. Their site is wearunholy.com, and also on Amazon and eBay. But they stress these aren't just, T-shirts or mugs. They see them as catalysts.
Catalyst?
Yeah, designed to give someone a reason to think. By putting the message right out there, you can't really ignore it. They wrap it up saying, we're not just making merch, we're making freedom visible. One product, one story, one soul at a time. So it's a very direct, almost consumer-driven approach to activism.
So there we have it. We've taken a deep dive into Unholy 101 and their, pretty unique way of doing social commentary. Using apparel, using a bold campaign like Christ Was About Love, remember, to push for inclusivity, for civil liberties, all through this secular yet kind of religiously reinterpreted lens.
Yeah, and it leaves us with something interesting for you, the listener, to think about. How do organizations like this one, like Unholy 101, actually navigate that really complex space between secular values, different interpretations of religious ideas, and the push for civil rights in a society as diverse as ours? And maybe more fundamentally, what does it really mean when symbols and language get reclaimed like this, redefined right out in the open in public discourse? Something to mull over.